Hello, folks. This is Susan, and I am wanting to speak about this COVID pandemic. I once worked with a doctor who said, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So, if you have a little cough or a little fever or, a little boo-boo, that's not a good idea to be going to a hospital full of people, because back in the days when I was young and people did that, the doctors would say hypochondriac. Now they want you to go to the hospital, if you have a little fever, if you have this and that. It's best to avoid those situations. If you believe that you are sick, then take your precautions like you would with any other disease. I have worked in the medical field. I went in the military because I wanted to save lives, not kill people. I'm not anti-government. I wanted to serve my country and defend and protect. I believe in freedom. In the Bible and in our books that God has given us, the Torah, the Quran, God specifically has sent a message loud and clear over and over. I am a God of freedom, not oppression. And a God of freedom of speech, freedom of religion. It doesn't matter if you're a Muslim or a Jew or a Catholic or whatever, because faith in one true God above all is what matters. So whether you believe in the Old Testament or in the New Testament or in Jesus Christ or or not, is irrelevant, because you have the freedom. God is a God of freedom. God gives you the freedom to believe in Him or not. God gives you the freedom to come to Him. So my freedom is to go to my God. My freedom is to go to my God when I am happy and when I'm sad, when I'm in pain or not. And I love that my Father is a God of freedom. He has an open door policy, 24/7. So, if I didn't believe in what I am saying, I wouldn't be saying it. If I didn't believe in anything that I am writing or posting, I wouldn't be doing it. I believe it from the bottom of my heart and have thought about it thoroughly and can back up what I am saying. So, when I was stationed at Keesler Air Force Base in Biloxi, Mississippi, at the age of 21, I was stationed there. I didn't have a choice in the matter. I didn't dislike the place, but I was a young kid. According to Maria Montessori, you're not technically an adult until the age of 24. I came from a military background. My stepfather was in the Army and military intelligence. I'm not anti-government. I'm very pro an American government that is neutral, a military that is strong, well prepared, but also neutral. Because in God we trust. Have we been corrupt in the past in the medical field and in politics? Of course, and we are still today. So, yes, we are to pray for forgiveness and we are to forgive one another, but we are to learn from our past mistakes. Whether we read the Bible or our books from history, we can learn That's why the books were written. And it's not that I'm lazy, and it's not that I am not capable of writing a book. But by the time I write a book and publish it, it's going to be too late. I need to send you this message today. So anyway, when I went in the medical field was because I wanted to save lives, not kill. I learned about anatomy and physiology at my level. I got out with the rank of senior airman, which is E4. That means E for enlisted. So that's why you oftentimes see my post saying E4 reporting, E4 reporting, loud and clear. Do you hear my string? My string, see, the strings go right up to him. They go right up to the Lord, the creator of all humanity. And if I didn't believe in what I was saying, I wouldn't be saying it. So when I worked in the medical field with this doctor, and he said, Susan, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Or some doctors would say, well, if it hurts when you do that, then don't do that. They knew, about, people having hypochondriac. This is something that we see often in the medical field. And in psychology, they know this. They also know this when they plan these things in advance. See, these people who plan these things in advance, they know psychology, they know anatomy and physiology, they know everything before they put their little plan together. And then they apply their plan. But I fear no man, I fear God only. And God has put it in me to say this today. I personally believe in cleaning my nose with Q-tips. I don't go too deep, because sometimes when I go too deep, I bleed a little bit. Sometimes it may be from dry nose. But I use a Q-tip every day to clean my ears, and that has kept me from getting ear infections, because I used to suffer from ear infections until I moved out of my house. When I was a child, my mom smoked indoors. My family had pets. I was allergic to cat hair. And all of this caused inflammation, and it caused phlegm. And I would oftentimes snort. I would go and I would itch my nose because I was highly allergic to cat hair and indoor smoke. So as soon as I moved out of that environment, all of that stopped. I have smoked, but outdoors. In the past, I only smoked for a short period of time. I wasn't like a heavy smoker. So I understand the smoker, I understand the non-smoker, I understand people when they say this hurts and that hurts, because I have been in pain. I have been obese. I have been suffering from arthritis. I had carpal tunnel. At one point, I was falling apart, and I got on my knees and I prayed. I said, Father, this is not my disease. This is not me. And I was a young lady suffering all of these things simultaneously. And I got down on my knees and I prayed. I prayed for clarity. I prayed for strength and motivation. And within a week, I was jogging, and I was just getting rid of all of the toxins from medication and things that I had been exposed to. So make a long story short, the inflammation and all of that stopped. I didn't have any more ear infections, but I also was cleaning my ears on a regular basis. And for some of you who say, well, cleaning your ears on a regular basis is not good, you're incorrect. You're incorrect. I'm here to tell you that it is good to keep the ears clean. So children need to be taught not to go too deep, yet
clean thoroughly, because this helps with hearing and it helps prevent ear infections when you have clean ears. So I believe in Q-tips, but I also believe in the 5 rights. And a Q-tip is good for keeping the nose clean, keeping the boogies out of the eyes, and but with people being tested like that, just like in parking lots and at these different checkpoints and these kind of things, it's like you're just asking for it. First of all, it's a violation of our rights to test people without their consent. It should not be ever mandatory. That is your right as a human being, as a patient. It is your right, look it up in the books, to say, yes, I want to be tested, or no. Now, if somebody wants to deny you a job because you haven't tested, okay, that's their prerogative. But it is your right as a human being, as a citizen, and as a patient, to say, I don't want to be tested. I don't want to wear a mask. Because all of this masking, it's ridiculous. I have seen people with masks this way, because God is a God of oxygen. He gave us oxygen for us to breathe. So for those of you who think that the earth is going to burn and that we're better off in another planet, let me tell you that God has sent me here to restore our Eden. And if I didn't believe in what I was saying, I wouldn't be saying it. Because when there's a need for the smoke to get out of the restaurant business, I make a phone call, I write an email, I write a letter, or I will personally go face to face. See, when I lived in Biloxi, Mississippi, I didn't go there because I like gambling. And I certainly didn't go there to celebrate Mardi Gras. Now, I don't have a problem with people gambling, and I don't have a problem with people celebrating Mardi Gras. It's part of their culture. I say, live and let live. So let me live. If I don't like celebrating Mardi Gras, that's my prerogative. If I don't like gambling, that's my prerogative. For one, I don't like gambling. When I was new at Keesler, it was exciting. I just turned 21. I was legal. I was able to get a drink for the first time. So I went to the casinos to experience the casinos. I would spend maybe no more than $20 on the slots. And when that $20 was gone, that was it. If you ever saw me on a video or somebody's picture at the casino, it's not because I was gambling. I may have been accompanying somebody at one point or another, just because it just so happened to be. Because I'm not going to sit around the house and just be, sitting around the house. I believe everything in moderation. I drink beer. I drink wine, but I'm not a drunk. If I drink too much, I throw up. So if you ever saw me throwing up, it's not because I'm an alcoholic. It's because my body cannot handle too much alcohol. Or maybe I ate something that made me sick, some tainted food. So if I'm human, pardon me. I'm not perfect, and I'm certainly not a virgin. I have 2 children, and I'm certainly not a Babylonian whore. No, I'm not. I'm an educated person. I think for myself. And I may not have a degree, but nor do I need to prove that to you. So when the smoke needed to come out of the restaurant business, because I questioned, what is the point of me sitting in the non-smoking section when Joe is sitting in the smoking section, literally right next to me, all under the same roof, and the smoke cloud you could see. And somebody said to me after I got out of the military and I couldn't find a job when I was going through a divorce that took 5 years. So I spent a lot of time at the library in Ocean Springs. Somebody pointed out to me, well, why don't you get a job at the casinos? They have good benefits and they can get your breast implants. And it's like, excuse me, but God is my witness. But does it look like I need breast implants for you to get a better tip? It's like breasts are for nursing your babies, okay? And I'm not out there showing my breasts at any Mardi Gras for any beads for your information. Excuse me that I have to take a shower in the privacy of my home. ¿Qué es eso? I am a servant of God, but I'm not going to be forced to be your servant. We are to serve one another. I am not a slave. I am a free servant of God. So, somebody pointed out to me that I could get free implants, and I thought to myself, and good health benefits. And I thought to myself, well, that would be nice. I don't mind the health benefits, but what is the point of working in a cloud of smoke for hours on end in your high heels for health insurance? So you may as well just think about the whole thing. That's why I wanted to have my own restaurant. You see? Because back in the days when you asked somebody to fry your eggs in olive oil, they didn't know what you were talking about, like you were speaking a foreign language. Olive oil? What is that? I'm not kidding. When I asked for whole wheat, what is that? In the late 90s. So I wanted to have a restaurant so that I could, fry my food. And back in the days when canola oil was good, because now they say canola oil has, GMOs and all that jazz. And it's like, there's always going to be something. So you've got to, do the best you can within the time, that you're in. So back in the days, canola oil was good for deep frying. So I thought olive oil for sauteing and canola oil for deep frying. And back in the days when soy was good, the non-genetically modified, I knew all of this in the late 90s, folks. I'm 46 years old. I was a young airman, and I knew this stuff back then. And I'm not telling you this to pump up myself. I just want you to recognize who I am and what I am doing. I'm looking out for your best interest. I'm not an enemy of America. I am not an enemy of the illegal immigrants. And I'm not an enemy of the Southern people. I'm not an enemy of Black Afro-Americans. ¿Qué es eso? I was born in Panama City, Panama, and my stepfather brought me here legally. I was an Army brat. And before I went in, he said, be ready to be treated as a minority. And I thought to myself, what is a minority? What is that? Why am I minor? It's never occurred to me that I am less than anybody. because I'm 5'1", Hispanic woman? Hey, that's the way God made me. And does that make me less? No. No, 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 no. I don't care if you're Asian or if you're black or white or Native American. Everybody has a right to live. We have the right to go out there without a mask in an environment that is healthy. Eat food that is not loaded with antibiotics, loaded with carcinogens like nitrates. Eat food that has no artificial colors and flavors, the way God intended it to be. We have that right. Oh, but because I am 5'1", Hispanic, with no degree, I am supposed to follow the corruption. No. So, I made my phone call. I wrote my letter as Catherine Jones or Susan Valerino because I am. I am not concealing my identity or shuffling things around. My birth name is Susan Catherine Valerino Jones. When I was born, I was told that my name was Susan with 2 S's. My mom wanted it to be Susan. Whatever. Okay? So in Panama, people don't hear that name Susan very often, so they call me Susana or Susie. I've been called all of those names. When I was in the medical field, the doctors would say Sue. Some of the doctors. Sue, Susan, Susana, Susie, whatever. It's the same person, the same name. So when I speak to people from the Hispanic community, they ask me my name, I say Susana, because they're not going to identify with me if I say Susan. No, because I speak Spanish fluently. I look Hispanic, even though my birth name is Susan. So when I went in the military, they asked for my birth certificate, and I said, well, here's my naturalization paperwork, which had Susan with 2 S's. And they said, well, we need to see the birth certificate. And I said, well, when I got naturalized, I was told that this would be my birth certificate substitution or whatever. And they said, well, no, because they didn't know anything about immigration. So I was in another state. I was going to join the Marine Corps in Colorado with my ex-boyfriend, John. I was going to join the Marine Corps because whatever. So the recruiters knocked on my parents' door in Virginia from the base, the Quantico base in Virginia. They went to Dale City and knocked on my parents' door and asked for my birth certificate. And my translated birth certificate that my stepfather had translated when we came to the United States legally as children had made a typo and only had 1 S in the Susan. So the recruiter made me redo all my paperwork with 1 S. So I did. I did my paperwork all with 1 S, and it took me 1 year to get used to my name being Susan with 1 S. So it is what it is. It's not that I didn't correct the typo, it's that my parents didn't catch it, and both my children have it on their birth certificate that their mother is Susan with 1 S. Catherine Valerino Jones. I don't go by Jones very often, but I do sometimes as Catherine Jones. And that's not untrue. So, I don't have anything, any hidden agenda. I don't have anybody else's money other than the unemployment. I'm unemployed. When I came here to Montgomery, I applied for jobs left and right, left and right, left and right. I was applying and nobody called me back. Or they would say, well, I'm sorry, we've chosen somebody else. I don't know what's in my record, that I cannot get hired for jobs like an office or something like that, because see, I'm 46 years old. I'm not going to have the energy of a 20 something year old, but maybe that's what it is, maybe because I should be retiring by now. But I don't want to be sitting around the house doing nothing. I would much rather be taking care of my own son, Alexander, who's only not even 11 years old. So, I think that people need to think about these things. What I am saying. That when somebody's going to stick a Q-tip up your nose, all the way back there, it may or may not be contaminated, folks. There are other ways of testing before they came up with this method. I say, if it ain't broke, don't try to fix it. If you're sick, stay home, be safe. These masks, when people wear them like this, is because they need oxygen, because the body needs oxygen to think properly, for the entire body to work properly. When people go out there in the heat with these masks, I know they're miserable. I can see it. Nobody wants to do that. Is that really keeping you from getting COVID? No. How come we hear all these people died after the symptoms, after they got tested? They tested positive. How come they didn't die before they tested? What happened during the testing? Who was around them? How was that specimen handled? Or maybe the swab itself. We need to think about these things. The Tuskegee experiment is an example of how macabre, how dark some of these scientific experiments can be. It's going to do nobody any good 40 years from now for a president or a pope to apologize about something that they were doing today. Because we're not going to know fully, it's not going to be disclosed fully. Because they're in the middle of it. Sometimes war happens because we blame somebody else for something they didn't do. Think about what kind of wars we've had and how it started and why. Do you remember the Pentagon Papers? How later, after all those deaths, it came out, it turned out that they really didn't need to be there at all. And all for the sake of communism and freedom, and look what we're doing. We're violating our own people's rights. We're contradicting. So, when I got down on my knees and I prayed hard. I started working out. And when I started working out, I started losing the weight. And my divorce was stuck. I was in there in a circle, in a circle, in a circle. So I went to the library, I went to the gym, worked out, went to the coffee shop. I ended up working various little jobs. And I was attacked. I was attacked from different angles because of my point of view. Because the fact that I was able to get down on my knees and pray, and the Lord, the hand of the Lord, healed me. Something that another doctor was not able to do. One time I went to the doctor, and it was all the way from Ocean Springs, Mississippi. I drove to Mobile because that's where the doctor was, the arthritis doctor. And so I went there and I started to tell him. He didn't even look at me in the face. I started to tell them my symptoms. I said, well, I have joint pain. I have had like, this symptom and that symptom, like just lethargy and just like, this and that. My entire body ached. He didn't even look at me in the face, and he was listening to me, looking at my chart, and asked, are you depressed? Like he was ready to prescribe me depression medication. When I went to a marriage counselor with my ex-husband, she asked if we would consider being on antidepressants. And I thought to myself, this is not the solution. The solution is take care of things at the root of a problem. Why am I having these symptoms, or what's going on with the marriage? That don't just assume that these people are depressed. There's a reason why. And I'm telling you what depression is. Depression is like an emptiness, when you feel empty, because the devil robs you of your self, and only God can fill that emptiness. Only God can heal you and feel that emptiness that you feel. Wherever it is that you feel that emptiness, you pray about it. You pray about it, and He will fill you. And what I am posting is not to stir up anything other than for you to think for yourselves and calm down. If you're sick, lay down, take your multivitamins, drink plenty of water, eat fresh fruits and vegetables, avoid foods that are loaded with antibiotics and nitrates and artificial flavors in colors, and sort of detox yourself from medications that you don't need, and only take those medications that you do need. Because remember, there are some industries out there who make money out of your illness. And God is a God of health. They don't want you to believe in God. These people make money and a living out of your illness. And if you're chronically ill, the better. The more chronically ill people we have, the better for them, because they get rich off of your misery. But there is hope and there is help. And they don't want you to believe in God. No, because God is real and God heals. And if we have healthy people walking around, breathing oxygen, rich environments, eating healthy, and we have less and less disease, and that makes them poor. Oh, well, I've been poor. I go to the thrift shop. I go to the thrift shop, and I am proud of it. Thank you.